Today I'm going to show you how to change strings on the guitar. I got my Kramer Focus right here. It's a Focus 1000. It's a made in Japan model. It's all maple body, and this guitar is awesome. I got the Seymour Duncan JB pickup in it. I'm a huge 80s metal fan, so this guitar is perfect for me. These strings are old. They're getting... Zoom in. I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but they're getting a little bit of rust on them. And strings are cheap, so I change them out whenever they get to that point. But I'm going to show you what I do. Here are some of the things that I use. I actually bought this cushion. I think I got it from like the Five Below store, a couple bucks. It's just a piece of foam, just so the guitar's not sitting right on the table. And I just have just a roll of paper towel just to support the neck so it's up off the table. I have an Allen wrench. It's kind of a weird camera angle. Can't really see it. Just a regular Allen wrench that fits the nut on the head. Got a string winder. 9 times out of 10 I can't find this thing, but I did for this video. Pair of wire clippers, and obviously a set of new strings. I have the D'Addario 10 to 46 strings, and that's for the most part what I'm going to use. I might use some other things. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so I'm going to start on the neck side, and the first thing I'm going to do is just undo the three little screws here, the little bolts. That's all they are, it's just a little... The camera's not really focusing. They're just little... I don't know what you call them. Set them off to the side. Just take them completely out so they're out of the way. Now, I don't think I mentioned this guitar does have a Floyd Rose, so it is a little bit more involved to change strings than a regular guitar. Then what I like to do is I'll take some of the tension off the strings. Just using my string winder. Alright, we got the tension off, all the strings are nice and loose. Take these out, and this is actually what holds the string. It kind of pinches them down in here. There's little blocks, and this screw pushes the block and it pinches the string. So I'm just going to undo those, and this is why I let the tension off of the string, so once you unhook them they don't pop out. You don't get cut or hurt by them. So I'm going to loosen them enough until they just pop right out. Now watch you don't scratch your guitar body. Like I said, it doesn't take much. Don't have to loosen them much. And now all your strings are loose. And then just unwind them off the tuners. Toss out the old strings. At this point, what I like to do is, while you have the strings off, is just go through and get all this dust. It's hard to get when the strings are on. I just have a feather duster. Probably getting dust all over the lens. Apologize. But then you can really just get down in there. That's hard to get when you have the strings on. Let's do the same thing for the neck. Just get all that dust out of there. Gonna get out my new strings. And And this will say on here, they're all color coded as which string goes where. You can see since it's wound right here, it sticks out, the inner string sticks out past the wound part. So what I do is I cut it so they're flush. Just like that. Let me get the camera get back in focus. And I'll go ahead and just drop it in position. You just drop it in straight. I'll usually do these by hand. And then tighten it down. It doesn't have to be super tight. And that's that one. Just lay it to the side. I'm going to do the same thing with the next string. You only have to do these with the wound strings, just because they have to go in here. So they're holding good. Now, another thing you got to remember with the Floyd Rose is you want to put them on this side of the block, closest to the neck. Because if you put it on this side, it's not, you're not going to have that block pinching. So, I'll show you with the next one. So you want to put it on this side. So you have your screw is pushing the block, which is pushing the little block into that part. And just tighten them down around in a counterclockwise motion. I'm looking from there. And I'm just pinching. Now if you do this way like I just did, it'll loop, it'll kind of hold it. So then I put pressure, zoom out a second. I'll hold the string up like this. So as I wind it, it's gonna wind nice and tight. So when it's winding around there, it's just keeping, I mean, you don't have to do a lot of pressure. Get that kind of snug. That's it. In. I'll do the same thing for the next string. Cut the little loop off. Put it underneath the bar there. Counterclockwise. Push it through. Put some pressure on it and wind it up. Now you don't have to use the string winder. It just makes it a lot quicker. It doesn't have to be in tune. I mean, it's going to change. Go through and cut all these off. Unless you want to be cool, leave them on. It's your choice. I personally don't like them. So I cut off all the ends. That's it for that end. Alright, now we have all the strings wound. I clipped all the ends off. I like to keep these off, the little retainers, until I play the guitar a while, because your strings, they're going to stretch as you play. The more you play, they're going to keep stretching out for a little bit, and then they'll settle, and then that's when I like to lock it down. So this way I'm not... So I'm not having to loosen these constantly and then tighten them back down. I like to just leave them off and play with them for a bit without it. Now on this side, what I like to do is, these are the fine tuners right here. Essentially what they do is they push down on the strings, which make the strings go tighter or looser. But what I like to do before I tune up the guitar is I like to loosen them all the way out, and then I'll just turn them a little bit in, just in case I have to go in case I have to tune the other way. So I turn them out, turn them back in a little bit, all the way out, back in a little bit, just so you get that flexibility both ways in case you have to drop the pitch a little bit. Now one of the issues I was having, because these strings are a different gauge than what I had, is this was actually not sitting flush. I have them loosened right now because I'm about to show you how to fix that. But this was sitting, the strings are pulling it, so it was sitting up like that, and you want to get it as level as you can. So what I do is I take some of the pressure off the strings, you flip it over to the back. So for mine, I need it to pull down harder. So what I need to do is to tighten these up just a little bit so that it'll pull the bridge down. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I mean, you don't need to go crazy, just a little bit. I like to do it a little bit at a time. Get these as even as I can. And I'll go ahead and retune it and see where I'm sitting with the angle right there. So I got it adjusted so it's pretty even. The strings are in tune and it's nice and even with the body. It's not sitting this way or this way. So if the back end is sitting too far down, like it's sitting up against the body, you want to loosen your strings every time you do it. That way you're not going to, because if you move this up and down from the adjustment in the back, you're going to break some strings. So if this part is sitting down too far, means you got to loosen on the back. You got to loosen these to bring the pressure off a little bit so that it can pull them up easier. Now if this end is up too far, it means the strings are pulling it too far that way. So loosen your strings, and you want to tighten the springs underneath, if you can picture them right here, so that they're pulling this down. Like pulling it, which is what I had to do. So I had to tighten this so it's pulling the bridge. Now I'm going to move it with my hand. So if it's too far, if you tighten it, it's going to pull it down. The other hand, if it's too it's pulling too much this way, you got to tighten them down. If it's pulling too much this way, you got to loosen them. Now I'll go and play for a while and get the strings nice and loosened up. And what you could do too is just put your finger, zoom out a little bit. One of my guitar teachers taught me years ago, is you could take your finger and just put them under the string while pushing down on the other part like this, and just kind of bring them up, and you could bend them, you could play them, just to get them to get that initial stretch. And you'll know when they stretch because it'll go back out of tune. So you want to get them to stretch, keep tuning it, and then once you got it where it's pretty much staying in tune, then you go and put your nut back in here, and it'll hold them tight. And once you do that, then you can't tune with your tuning pegs anymore. You have to use your little fine tuners here. So if you need to, it needs to go up in pitch, you turn them so it pushes down on the screw. If it needs to go down, then it needs to go, you need to loosen these out so that it lets the pressure off. So you want to get it pretty close. I tend to go a little bit flat, like have the strings a little bit flat when I put this on, because it tends to go, when you put these in to hold it, it tends to go sharp. So if you have your strings just, I mean, pretty close in tune, but a little bit flat, and then when you put that on, then you just tighten them down until they're in tune. But that's after you stretch them out. Now that you got your new strings on, you're ready to rock. That's going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.